The Weller?
Yeah.
Is that the Weller guy or is
No,
that?
no, no. That's oh shoot, I can't think of his name right now, but it's not Peabody. It's not.
You doing an item today? Yeah, time.
I'm not gonna try to stop Mr. Weller, but we got to figure out a way to stop people like Mr. Weller. The guy that's mining sand,
Oh, I know.
calling it a pond.
And we're gonna look at the ordinance because you don't need 5 acres of water to irrigate 28 people.
Everybody else does.
It doesn't pay for you to get all them, even all the equipment
Hi.
to do it.
Yeah, you're right, but it's also
Kevin just
excavation operations are annoying as hell to the neighbors, and they're dirty on the roads, and they're hard on the roads.
Yep. In 5 acres. I'm not sure how deep it's gonna go, but that's almost.
Yeah.
That's really kind of.
Does he have to post bond on that
Yeah.
to maintain it?
who?
He'll be the last
The,
one because.
the pond guy.
Yeah.
We can't figure out a way to stop this guy, but
We can't now.
like to.
Right.
Oh, you're looking at me like. There you go.
So that's 5 years they have not beaten us.
Okay.
A pretty frame.
Yes. Wayne County frames.
Are they?
Yeah.
Really?
When I came over, I called Wayne County and said, "Where do I buy these things?" So that's why we've got all Wayne County frames now.
Oh, okay.
They're nice. They aren't that expensive either. They come from China, but we buy them in mass. And they look sharp.
Yeah, it's coming along. Coming along.
Okay, we'll be starting up in 1 minute.
It's chilly in here. Aren't you chilly?
She reminded me
Just a hair, but yeah.
Hey Dan,
that went all day without
what's the temperature in here?
Hey, there. Or Frasers.
Huh? Oh. I'd like it another degree higher, but I don't know. It makes that. Well, see,
I'm rather comfortable actually, but go ahead. Okay, we're gonna get started. Okay. All right. This meeting is called to order at 6 o'clock. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. We are being broadcast live over Van Buren Channel 12, and we are also on YouTube, or I think, yeah. Clerk Wright, would you please do a roll call?
Will. Trustee Kelly,
They-
absent and excused. Is this working?
Doesn't sound like it, does it?
Trustee Boyden.
Here.
Trustee Martin.
Here.
Trustee Frazier. Clerk is present. Treasurer Bud.
here.
Supervisor.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. The executive summary today is we've got a board, we're going to be approving our board meeting minutes, our prepaid lists, approval of a Metro Act permit, approval of a 2025 board meeting schedule, approval of 25 township holiday schedule, approval of a resolution for the Wayne County annual permit to work on the side of the road, approval of a resolution for the DUA second amended articles of incorporation. That's our wastewater treatment plant contract. Approval of an agreement to the 24 amended budget for attorney fees. That's our Republic litigation. Approval of amendments to the 2024 amended budget for the election office, which has received reimbursements and grants for their operations on the presidential election. There also is going to be a special presentation today for our past trustee, Sherry Frazier, and our family's here. New business today includes discussion on purchase of an F-150 crew cab, discussion on a request by Todd Waller for the creation of a 5-acre pond for agricultural purposes, and discussions on the selection of Fishbeck for engineering services for the North Shore and Beckley Road pump station announcements. I was gonna call on the clerk, so I'm gonna call on the treasurer. Could you make a motion for adoption of the agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the adoption of the agenda with one correction to the consent agenda by adding item number 10, which is the approval of amendments to the 2024 amended budget in the clerk's office. And then under new business, I make a motion that we eliminate items number 3, 4, and 5 regarding the Pulte homes, and they will come back at another time.
Can I get a second for the amended agenda? Thank you. I have a motion and I have a second. Hearing no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Motion passes. Next item is adoption of the,
Consent agenda?
Consent agenda.
screw it up here.
No.
Okay. Next motion is adoption of the consent agenda.
Through the chair.
Trustee Boynton.
I move that we grant the consent agenda, which consists of the following. Did I say that right? I move that we, yeah,
Yeah, these are a little
Yeah.
low.
okay. The board meeting minutes of November 19th, the prepaid list of November 21st and 27th, all of 2024, the Metro Act permit for 123.net, the 2025 Board of Trustees meeting schedule, the 2025 Township holiday schedule, Resolution 2024-25 Wayne County annual permit, Resolution 2024-26, the DUWA Second Amendment Articles of Incorporation, an amendment to the 2024 amended budget to attorney fees, Republic litigation, parentheses 101-266-801-003 from $40,000 to $150,000 from the general fund balance, and amendments to the 2024 amended budget to election reimbursement account number 101-262-727-001, election office supplies, 101-262-727, election office wages, 101-262-705, and election printing and publishing, 101-262-900, to account for reimbursements and grants received for elections.
Okay, we've got a motion for approval of that. Does anybody want to second it?
A second.
Okay. Clerk Wright. All right, so we've got a motion, we've got a second. Hearing no further discussion on the consent agenda. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Move on down to the public hearing. We have none. Correspondence, announcements, and presentations. Before I go to Sherry Frazier, does anybody?
got one.
Clerk Wright?
Yes, with sad remarks, I'd like to announce the passing of Commander Bob Kraus. Bob Kraus and his wife, devoted wife, Marie Kraus, served the township for numerous years. I know for 18 of the years I've been here, they have devoted their time to put flags in the graveyards every Veterans Day, and always was due diligent in doing that. Robert Kraus, at age 74 of Belleville, passed away Saturday, November 30th, 2024, at his home, surrounded by family. He was born April 18, 1950, in Kansas City, Missouri. He proudly served his country in the United States Air Force as a K-9 police officer. He also worked in security as a K-9 officer at Detroit Metro Airport for many years. He was a member of St. Anthony Catholic Church, Belleville, Michigan. Bob was also the commander of VFW Post number 4434 of Belleville, Michigan. He was a loving and attentive husband, father, grandfather, companion, teacher, and friend. He made indelible remarks and helped shape lives of all those who encountered. He taught at Belleville Martial Arts Institute. He advised and protected with courage, righteousness, and kindness. As a teacher and mentor, he could quickly get to the root of the question posed to him and responded in a thoughtful and careful crafted way quickly without rushing. That would allow his students to learn and grow in their own way. Like a tree on a mountain, he was in the forefront of things. He always stood firm, provided support, and exemplified for others what it meant to reach out for perfection. His intelligence and quick wit and humor would never be forgotten. And I'd like to personally thank them for the service they gave the township for many years. Visitation will be 5 to 7 p.m. Thursday, December the 5th, and 11 a.m. funeral, December 6th, at David C. Funeral Home on Huron River Drive in Belleville, Michigan. Thank you.
Thank you. A moment of silence for
Yes.
Bob. Thank you. Okay. Does anybody else have any notices or proclamations or no? Okay, we're into the nitty-gritty of it. Sherry, do you want to stand over there? Do you want us to do it from here? What would you like? It's come on over there.
I don't understand.
Oh, geez, go away. Artificial intelligence. No. Come on over here. Yeah, no, this is wonderful. Those days are gone.
All right. Okay. That's good to know.
So at any rate, we don't get to say goodbye very often around here because everybody sticks around. So you decided to leave us, and we wanted to make sure we at least got a proclamation out there. You've been part of so many wonderful things that have happened over the last few years since you've been here. I mean, we've got Vistion that got solved. You built a splash park at a community center. The pavilions, all the pavilions at Van Buren Park rebuilt. The roads are rebuilt there. French Landing been rebuilt. There's more money in the bank now than when you started, by a long shot.
Let's hope.
So you left us in good shape. You can go home and not worry about us. Okay, like my mother worries about me all the time. I keep on I'm fine, Mom. Okay, well, we're good. But the board did put together a proclamation, and I probably should have to read it this way. From the board, whereas Sherry Frazier has been a Van Buren resident for over 42 years. Wow. Sherry Frazier is wife to Wayne, a former teacher in the Van Buren Public Schools, mother to William, Andrew, and Suanna Frazier of Ducey, and grandmother and great-grandmother to many grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And you've often mentioned your husband and your kids.
Yes.
That's nice. You've dedicated yourself to education by receiving a bachelor's degree in secondary education from Eastern Michigan and an education socialist certificate from Wayne State and a master's degree in library science from the University of Michigan. Go Blue. Sherry Frazier has had many careers, including a librarian at the Fred Fisher Library, an educator in the Plymouth Canton School District and Trenton Public School System, and is a licensed realtor. Sherry Frazier has dedicated herself towards the betterment of her community by serving the Belleville Area Council of the Arts, the Van Buren Public School Board of Education, and you were on that from 1984 to 94, and then again from 2000 to, I can't see that, 2016, for a total of 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah. Sherry Frazier has been appointed to many boards, including appointed to the Wayne Oakland Library Federation Board from 90 to 92. You had an appointment to the White House Conference on Libraries from 88 to 90, and you were appointed to RESA, the Regional Education System Association. Whereas Sherry Frazier began serving on the Board of Trustees of Van Buren Township in November of 2016 and completed her final term in 2024 for a total of 8 more years, 33 if my math's good.
I'm tired already.
Yeah. So, be resolved on this day, third day of December 2024, the Van Buren Township Board of Trustees hereby recognizes the achievement of Sherry Frazier and commend her many years of service to the community and especially her 8 years of dedicated public service to the citizens of Van Buren Township as a trustee, and wish her the greatest luck in her future retirement.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been my honor and privilege. It's been my honor and privilege to serve the great citizens of Van Buren Township. They're the best.
Can we get a picture with all the board, because it's our last time we're
Yeah,
a shot of this? Why don't we come up here and you guys
Okay, sure.
go down in front?
Where are we going?
Come on down here.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on, Will.
I guess I'm a board member, right?
I live to tell about it. What can I say?
I gave you even money a couple days there.
Old age is hell, let me tell you. But it's better than the alternative.
Wish we could do more. Would you like a picture with your family up here? Or? Yeah, we've got a professional photographer. We might as well use him. Come on. Why don't you guys hold that? All right. Well, you know the game. We're about to do boring stuff. You want to leave? Go ahead.
Okay, thanks.
You ever need anything, you call me. All right.
I've been through a lot.
Yeah, you have.
I've heard it all. It's all good. Oh, she gets the ball. Hey.
Okay. Sorry.
That's okay.
Do you want to say anything? No? Okay. She's gone. All right. Okay. So last call. Does anybody here want to make any announcements? Okay. So does any, go ahead.
Excuse me. You know, I served with Sherry on the school board. Her and I served on the school board together, and then we didn't, and I'd run into her in the library and stuff, and then now she came on this board, so it's, you know, I've served with her a few years, and it's been my privilege to get to know her family, and her husband, and so it's just, it's good to see now she can sit down and put her feet up.
Yeah. A lot of energy in that girl.
Yeah.
She got things done. Okay. Moving on then, we're going to move on to public, excuse me, public comment, yes. Public comment. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to comment on any of the business of the day? Anybody from the public? Hearing none, we're going to move on to unfinished business, which we have none. We're going to go right into new business. New business. Discussion on to consider approval of the purchase of an F-150 crew cab. Can I get a motion?
Through the chair,
Okay,
I
Treasurer.
make a motion that we approve the purchase of an F-150 crew cab truck for the Water and Sewer Department in the amount of $45,759.
Can I get support?
Support.
Okay.
Support.
Yeah, I got it. I'm sorry, Clerk, right, yeah. I just suddenly realized Don was gone. Director Lawrence, sorry. Thank you.
Good evening, Board. I'm here before you to consider purchase of a 2024 F-150 XL truck from Atchison Ford. With the pay estimate after the state, my deal discount comes out to $45,759. This truck will be added to the Water and Sewer Department fleet. This truck was budgeted for 2024. This purchase will help reduce the amount of money we're spending in the Water and Sewer Maintenance fund. We currently have a few vehicles that are approaching 15 years old, and the purchase of this will help alleviate some of the, we're spending around 30,000 a year in maintenance on vehicles, so this would help if we add this. And this would be expense from the Water and Sewer Capital Outlay Fund.
Any questions? We just sold off, I'm guessing 30, 40 vehicles? Yeah, we finally pulled the trigger and just got rid of all that stuff, so, we need some good vehicles. All right, I have a motion by Treasurer Bud, supported by Clerk Wright. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is a discussion and to consider approval of a request by Todd Waller for the excavation, removal, and off-site handling of up to 93,000 cubic yards of soil to create a 5-acre pond. Can I get a motion?
Through the chair,
Yes, sir.
I can make a motion to consider approval of a request by Todd Waller for the excavation, removal, and off-site hauling up to 93,000 cubic yards of soil to create a 5-acre pond for agricultural purposes.
Okay.
I second that.
Okay. Trustee Frazier.
Number one.
It sounded funny to hear say that. All right.
Good evening, board. So at the last, this was brought before the board at the last meeting where it was postponed to have the applicant come and answer some questions that the board had. I did speak to the applicant. He had indicated he would have a representative here tonight, but I have not seen them here as of yet. There were a couple of additional items that I did want to go through as we discussed this case before. So if the board will bear with me, I'll just go through those fairly quickly. As indicated, the owner of the property, Todd Waller, applied seeking an excavation permit for activities on 2 parcels on Martz Road. The applicant's proposing to dig a roughly 4.88 acre pond for irrigating crops, and his proposal is to relocate excavated materials off-site. As we discussed at the last meeting, the Planning Commission has to review the pond under our pond ordinance, but the Township Board of Trustees is the appropriate entity to review the removal of soils from the site under the township's excavation ordinance. So there were a few other items that I wanted to highlight, which we had discussed since the last board meeting. So they're just to go through the list. So we went through the standards, providing a follow-up. The applicant's representative was supposed to be here today to answer questions about the operation. However, they are not. The few items that I would like to clarify is that in addition to what we had provided last time in the packet, there is an affidavit from the farmer that currently leases the property from Mr. Waller, which indicates that they are actively farming the property. The property is zoned AG agricultural, which allows agriculture as a permitted use. The township does allow the construction of ponds on the property where agricultural ponds are accessory to that agricultural use that's allowed by zoning. The township has the 2 other general ordinances we discussed for excavations and mining and ponds. The applicant needs to meet the standards of both of those ordinances. As I had specified before, the township board approves the excavation permit while the township planning commission will review and approve the pond permit. Each has separate standards, so, and what the township board is being asked to do tonight is being asked to consider the standards for the excavation permit. Those standards were in my staff report. We went through them at the last meeting, and I try not to go through them again, but based on this, we have asked for several conditions to be placed on the approval of the excavation permit. These include limiting the hours of operation to those required by our noise ordinance, which is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Obtaining the pond permit from the Planning Commission, which they're required to do anyway, but if you condition them, they go together. And then restoring any exposed bank areas. The applicant is expected to comply with these conditions, or the township has the authority to pursue enforcement actions, so we can go after them through our police department or through a civil infraction process. The applicant also is going to be required to obtain a soil erosion permit from Wayne County for the activity of digging the pond. As part of the site plan submitted, the applicant has proposed several soil erosion measures, including a mud mat leading out to Martz Road and installing silt fencing, around some of the temporary stockpile areas, around the temporary stockpile area. We've consulted with the township attorney on this project to ensure we are following the correct procedure with regards to our ordinances, and based on that consultation, we're following the proper procedure. These ordinances, specifically the pond and the excavation ordinance, have not been reviewed or updated in several years. And so one of the things that we're committing to and that we had discussed is that we're going to be ensuring that we update them in the beginning of 2025 to further provide protections for our residents and to clarify certain requirements that are in the ordinance. But based on my review of the proposed plan, the information provided, and those ordinances, it does appear that the applicant has met the standards of approval for an excavation permit to dig an irrigation pond. So that concludes my summary. As I had indicated previously, Mr. Waller, as representative, are not here. It's up to the board for how you would like to proceed. I did speak with him prior to the meeting and let him know that that was the reason the application was postponed last time, but he's not here. So happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Through the chair.
Through the chair.
Trustee Martin.
So this excavation is for irrigation. How is it going to be filled? Is it from groundwater is going to fill this up? It's just going to capture rainwater? Where's the source of the water?
My understanding is it's going to be, there's going to be a groundwater fed, and there's going to be some surface water that goes into it as well.
Okay.
Treasurer Bud.
How deep will the deepest spot in this pond be?
I believe under the pond, there's a cross section. I'll have to take a quick look. I believe it, here, let me look at the plan before I answer that. Let's see. 384, so it will be approximately 12 feet.
Oh.
Looks like.
Through the chair.
Trustee Boynton.
Given the fact that we have had a full report from staff, seems to be quite complete. There are still questions that are not going to be answered tonight that, from what I can tell, are being held for the owner, Mr. Waller, and or his representative. So I would strongly suggest that we once again hold off on any decision on this until the applicant is able to be in attendance so that the board can have the questions that it has answered sufficiently. Because I was being at the last meeting, it seemed there were some significant questions that were being asked, and we put forward a motion, we rescinded a motion, and then tabled it to this meeting here. And I would suggest we do the same thing. We rescind the motion that's on the floor now and table it until the applicant, I'll call him, is able to be in attendance.
Through the chair, I would agree with that. I think it's kind of a little short-sighted on his, when he was told that he needed to be here or somebody needed to be here to answer questions, and I think we should table it again until he does what he was supposed to do.
Yeah, I think we all have questions. I mean, you've got
Yeah.
the water question was one I hadn't even thought of, but we want to make sure the track out is handled. We want to make sure that his hours of operation are driving with the neighbors, and I mean, this is yeah.
Because the size of the pond, and I'll just add this to the pond. I've learned that the size of the pond is pretty large for the amount of land that's going to be farmed. It's not a problem us having a pond, but it's the size of it for 1 point, just 1 point. Just 1 point. So that's all I have to say.
I made the motion, and I also made the motion to table it last time. So with him not being here, I was saying my motion tonight.
Do you want to, okay, will you allow him to rescind it? Okay, so it's rescinded. Clerk, would you like to make, actually, would somebody like to make a new motion?
Sure. I move that we table the discussion on the, oh, come back over here.
Mm-hmm.
I move that we table the request by Todd Waller for the excavation, removal, and off-site hauling of up to roughly 90,300 cubic yards of soil to create a 5-acre pond for agricultural purposes. Um, to be held at the next available appointment set up by staff with the applicant, and he be at the meeting.
Okay,
Dan-
go
Brian, I
ahead.
got one question for you. So, okay, so you told the applicant is aware that we wanted someone here to answer questions, right?
Yes.
I just want to make sure that we're not doing anything that violates anything regarding his rights as bringing this proposal. I mean, I just want to make sure we're not violating anything, regarding.
We understand that we probably have to
I know,
approve this,
I know,
but
I'm
we
talking
do
about-
have questions.
I'm talking about regarding the approval.
It's not unreasonable for the board to ask the applicant to
I
be
know.
present to answer questions about the application. There's nothing that I'm aware of
Okay.
which would bring anybody any trouble. I know Mr. Waller indicated that either he or his representative would be here this evening.
Mm-hmm.
Did they not?
So I'm not sure what happened or why that's not the case, but the board's certainly well within its right to postpone, and it's perfectly
Yeah, I know.
reasonable.
I just wanted to make sure we haven't voted down anything, so we're okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
I still need support for trustee Boynton's
Support.
tabling. Clerk Wright. Okay, so I have a motion by trustee Boynton to table. Clerk Wright has supported that motion. Is there any questions before we move to table, which means it will return to the next meeting?
Well, I said
You said table.
to table it.
Table
to the
means it comes
next-
back at the next meeting.
I didn't say to table it to the next meeting. I said to table it to.
If you table something, it comes back at the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. but
Then I will restate my motion.
I don't mind it coming back to the next meeting. Shows up, he shows up. He doesn't show up, we just keep on tabling it.
I should just say postpone. Postpone mean that you can bring it back at
You
any
can bring it
meeting.
back at any time.
Table it, you're actually supposed to put
Sure,
it set
okay.
aside to the end of the meeting.
Would you like, to if that's what you want?
Okay, then
whatever
what
you
I
wanna
will do, I will pull my motion, and I will, making sure the secretary understands where I'm going here, I will postpone it to the,
To not a date certain.
yes. She has it correctly in the
Clerk Wright?
record.
You support?
I support it.
Okay, I've got a motion, I've got support. Do I have any more questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We move on. We move on to what? Six. Number six. Discussion and consider approval of a selection of Fishbeck to do engineering services on North Shore. Can I get a motion?
Chair,
Trust Clerk Wright.
I'd like to make a motion to consider approval for Fishback to provide engineering service for North Shore and Beckley Road Pump Station replacement in the amount of $24,850 to be paid from Sewer Capital Outlay Fund 592-537-971-003-004.
Support.
Mr. Boynton, trustee. Okay. Director Lawrence.
Okay. Last year, around this time, the board approved Fishbeck to provide engineering service for North Shore and Beckley lift station replacement. Drawings and specs are 95% complete. This request is to expand North Shores and Beckley pump station replacement project to include generator and replacements. Due to the current generator on this project approaching the end of its life cycle. The scope of services will include reviewing existing drawings, on-site conditions, and generator information to identify sizing and replacement options to be discussed with the township, submit evaluation memos recommending generator replacements and new installation options, along with advantages and disadvantages, cost estimates, and other considerations for each location.
All right, generators, right?
Yes.
Okay. The days of the, 100-year flood are over. We're getting the 500-year floods, and lately we've had to pull up Vectors and rent them at $30,000 a day, generators at $7,000 a week. We just have to prepare for these things now. So that's why we're doing it. Any questions? Okay, I've got a motion by Clerk Wright, supported by Trustee Boynton. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Director. Next item is reports. We have none. Then we come into public comment for non-agenda items. Is there anybody for the public that wishes to comment on any non-agenda items? Hearing none, calling for a motion for, what do they call it? Adjournment.
So moved.
I got a motion?
Support.
I got support. Hearing no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Okay. God, these, yes, sir.
Well, how can I do this meeting? Well,
That was a little breeze.
I know sometimes these guys get out there in those those ponds. They'll sit there for 3 years digging.
You can
They
stop all
they
the
can't
stuff
sell it
that's
yet.
said about
And they wait for the guy to come by.
What are you gonna do with the dirt? How long is it?
whatever
can
point.
you imagine 5 acres, 12 foot deep?
So you gotta talk to Ron, because I have a feeling that where our hands are tied right now, that we're gonna have to take this guy, but I don't know.
Well, I wanna know how much, I wanna know what kind of equipment he's gonna spray his, what kind of crops is he spraying with this water?
So it said, they showed a picture of some beans, I don't know where that is, that could be anywhere, they just showed some pictures, I don't